And now, unveiling for the first time, the winner of the Botar's Replacement Canonization Contest. Behold! Botar's Replacement. Hello everyone, and welcome to another Remixed review. Today we're taking a look at every alternate and combination model released for the year of 2006 for the BIONICLE theme. As usual, this will be per my personal opinion, and before we go any further, make sure to head on over to the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. You can join in on a bunch of fun discussions, such as discussions about this video and many others, as well as join in on some canonization contests that started today. Without further ado, let's get started. As usual, we're starting off small. Starting off with these three Voyatoren. Let's remix! Here we have a Lava Hawk, and this is exactly what I was hoping for from more combo models. So this here combines Velika, Balta, and Piraka, and I really like it. It's small, compact, it's a Rahi. You've got really nice coloration throughout the torso. It's this bright red, it tapers off in orange. You've got the green that kind of subsides on the side. It just looks good. I don't have a whole lot to say because it's kind of small, but I really like it. This is definitely a lot of fun. I certainly recommend building it, and as far as canonicity is concerned, it is canon. And now we move on to the other three Voyatoren, because of course they're going to get a combo too. Let's remix! This is called a Dagger Spider. Again, I'm not going to have a whole lot to talk about with this one because it's also small, but I also really like this one too. It's a spider, well, a bionicle spider. It's got 4 legs. And as far as functions are concerned, it has 1 or 2. You have these kind of pincers that do kind of move in and out. That's kind of neat. And then the mask on the top does move, but I don't really think it's supposed to. Like, it's just supposed to be the back of a spider, but it can move. Sometimes angling it can be a little tricky, but it is there. Again, this is a really cool creation. I like that it's a Rahi. It's enhancing the world. It's filling the world. And it doesn't look bad. I didn't dislike making it, and I don't dislike looking at it. This is the first time in a while where I've liked both of the small set combos. Really good winners. And like the last one, this is considered canon. Let's go ahead and move up in the world with the Piraka combos, starting off with these two. Let's remix! So this doesn't have an official name. On BS01, it's just called Piraka Combiner 1, so I'm just going to refer to it as 1. The rest are 2 and 3. And this is absolutely hideous. There's nothing I like about this at all. The arms are awkward, the weapons are weird and awkward, the legs have okay mobility, not great, but it's there, I guess. And then on the back, you have this other Zamor launcher, which is really awkwardly placed. It's got this large axle running through the top of it, and I just don't like its placement. I don't like how it looks. I don't like anything about this combo. There are no massively redeeming qualities to me. It's just an awkward combo that doesn't add anything whatsoever. And before anyone asks, it's non-canon. Next up, these two Piraka. We still have 2 more of them. Let's remix. This is Piraka Combiner 2, and I'm not gonna lie, this is actually my favorite of the 3 of the 2 Piraka combos. It's just kind of funny looking. It's obviously a very different kind of a combo. It's got a very different silhouette from the other 2, and from most combination models in general. It's just got these long legs and these kind of shorter arms. As far as articulation is concerned, the legs don't really have a great amount of it. They have a little bit kind of toward the torso, so you can angle them forward a little bit more, but it's not a lot. His arms are just standard arms, and he has 2 Zamor launchers toward his head, and I guess that's kind of neat. Color scheme-wise, I like it. There's nothing too offensive about it, and he's just kind of goofy looking, and I kind of like that. I get a kick out of it. And like the last one, this is non-canon. Alright, moving on to the last 2 of the 2 Piraka combos, we've got these guys. So let's remix. And here we are with Piraka Combiner 3. Of the three, I think it's the most cohesive of the models. It's the most standard. Definitely a typical bipedal, armored up, menacing looking model. The legs are pretty standard Piraka legs, the arms are beefier Piraka arms, and it's a very typical looking model. So while it technically looks like what I've come to expect, I also don't like it as much as the last one because I find it kind of boring. Like the last one, it's something different, it's kind of unique, it's kind of fun. This is, let's make mini Irnakk to me. The legs are not great, they're kind of locked into this position, the articulation just isn't there. They can go back, but you have a very limited range of motion generally, so posing is not really possible. It's not great. The arms are standard arms, and he has two Zamor Sphere launchers on his shoulders, which have articulation, but only to certain extents, and he has a head. Again, this really isn't one of my favorites. There's nothing special about it. I don't really think I'd recommend anyone build this one, nor really the other two. I just liked Piraka Combiner 2 because it was kind of unique looking amongst the three. And like the prior two, this is non-canon. Alright, we're moving up again. We're going to take three different Piraka and combine them. Starting off with these three. Let's remix! So this is a super bizarre combination model. It doesn't really have a name. On BS01 it's called Piraka Kaida Korean version, because this is a combo that I guess released in Korea. And it's just Irnakk. It's just a recolored Irnakk with some slight structural differences, namely in the arms. As you can see, the arms are kind of different from Irnakk. You have one that ends in this kind of weird blade / Zamor Sphere launcher thing, which is fine. It's not really that offensive. And in the other arm is something I actually like. I find this to be a great improvement over Irnakk. It's this kind of neat, almost club thing made of Zamor Sphere launchers, and they're kept in by those tubes, those flexible pieces, and I love that. I think this is a really cool design, and I really like that utilization. The other change is on the shoulders. It uses a different way to connect the arms to the torso. It's kind of interesting to see that variation. It doesn't add or detract from anything. It's just different. Additionally, I figure it's worth mentioning, if you take the other three Piraka right here, you can make another Irnakk. It's just Irnakk, without tubes, and using Vezok's face of all things. I can tell you right now, this was really difficult for me to make. I just took off all of the Irnakk specific pieces and made this. It wasn't difficult. This is the other Korean Piraka Kaida. I don't know why it's not just Irnakk, but whatever, here they are. And they are equally non-canon. Before we move on, I want to take this moment, given that we just talked about the other two Kaida models, to talk about actual Irnakk. A lot of people are saying, well, Eljay, why aren't you considering Irnakk when you talk about the 4 set release combo models like Kardas or Botar or so on? The reason is because I have a very specific idea of what I think sets are. To me, a LEGO set it's a combination of pieces, some of them new, some of them just recolored, that create a new experience for someone. Like if I'm buying a LEGO set, I'm usually, like me, the kind of person I am, I'm not buying a box of bricks. I'm not really a mockist. So I'm angling towards sets that are curated. They're created specifically to provide a specific building experience. And usually that involves either new pieces or new recolors or parts that fundamentally alter how you build the set and are required for that construction. So for instance, whenever a new set wave launched, it would usually have new pieces that were specific to new sets or old pieces that were recolored to be put into these new sets. The combo model sets, like Ultimate Duma, Takutanova, so on, have optional special pieces to entice you to buy them. It's marketing. They've made a combo or an alternate model to kind of promote, hey look, it's another model you can make, you just gotta get this set and this set, and then you can make it. And then they re-release those sets in a box to get you to also buy that. Again, it's just marketing, and that's why they're often not advertised with the pieces they come with. Takutanova is rarely advertised with his movie edition Krakan, and Ultimate Duma also is rarely advertised with his movie edition Krakan. Again, not never, but rarely. Botar and Kardas have no unique pieces. The thing that makes those releases special are the instruction booklets, physical instruction copies, which LEGO releases for free online anyway. They always release the instructions for their sets online, so you can still build whatever it is. It's why I'm so specific about calling them combo model sets, and I usually have sets in air quotes, because they're combo models that are being marketed as new sets, but they've gone through vastly different design processes. You're not going to have the same refinement or attention to stability in a combo model that you will for an official set. There are obviously going to be outliers. I well acknowledge that. However, it is my opinion that anytime you have a combo model, it is only a certain percentage as good as a single set that comprises it. So if you have a set like Takuta, who is comprised of Makuta and Takanuva, then that set is only half as good as one of those sets. Again, this is not a hard, fast rule, this is just my perspective, and I must stress there are outliers. I'm not saying this is a blanket thing to consider. However, this is generally how I look at these things. And the reason I'm talking about this now is A, because most people are going to either skip this part if I put it toward the end, and B, how it relates to Irnakk. Irnakk has pieces that comprise his design that are not part of his composite figures. There are parts that go into the set you cannot get with Vezon, Thok, or Radak. Additionally, he has a recolored spine that specifically belongs to that figure. The combination of these two things, these specific items, mean to me he is a proper set. Don't get me wrong, he is still a combo model through and through. However, he has pieces specific enough to him that they are not part of either of the three composite figures, which to me means you're getting a different building experience if you have Irnakk proper than if you were to build it through the three normal sets like the Korean Irnakk. It's slight, but there's a difference, which is why I don't categorize Irnakk with the other combo model sets, because he has pieces that alter the build that you would otherwise not have using just the three sets. I hope that makes sense to everyone. I know not everyone's going to agree. That's just my perspective. That's why I'm being so specific here. And that's why I'm not considering Irnakk in all of this. If you want a brief review for Irnakk that gives my opinion, so not the recap review, I'm not a fan. I don't like Irnakk. I don't think that the build is really that great. It's kind of hollow. The limbs are restrictive. He doesn't have a lot of great articulation. Color scheme is mostly fine. It doesn't really offend me any. And I like the recolored parts, and I like the tubes. I think those are good on the figure, but I'm not a big fan of what's on the end of the arms. I think Korean Irnakk 1 does a better job with that. And overall, I wouldn't really encourage anyone to either build Korean Irnakk or normal Irnakk or purchase normal Irnakk. I don't think it's worth the effort of time. But again, just my perspective. Alright, moving on. Let's take these three Piraka again, because we're going to make them into something else, and remix. So this is a Proto Drake, and I really like this. So this is comprised of the same three Piraka we just saw, but it's a completely different model. And honestly, I like this a lot more than Irnakk, the Irnakk model. Of the three Piraka combiners, this guy is my favorite. It's kind of like a raptor slash T-Rex, like it's a dinosaur of sorts. The articulation in the legs is fine, nothing too offensive, honestly. And both necks and the Zamra launcher in the center obviously move without any real hindrances. Color scheme-wise, it's not the best. It's definitely not one of my favorites. There are a lot of colors here. A lot of reds, a lot of greens, and a lot of brown shades. So I'm not thrilled, but I like the build and the look of it enough to not really worry about the colors. It kind of usurps that concern of mine, which goes to show I really do like the build. Of note, I actually really do like the spine usage on the back. It's kind of creative. We don't see that really utilized in anything else. And I like it. It's kind of a neat implementation to make a kind of neat textured tail and back of the creature. So overall, I actually really like this one. I think it's really cool. I was pleasantly surprised upon making it. As far as story is concerned, it is canon. Alright, moving on to the only Toa Inika combiner that we got in 06. Taking these three Toa Inika, remix! Here we have the first known Toa of magnetism, Toa Jovan. So this is a combo model that I've seen for a long time and known the appearance of, but never really took a moment to sit down and make it and actually explore what it is. And what it is a neat concept that I feel falls flat from execution. Let's dig in. Out the gate, legs are fairly basic, there's nothing too offensive there. The arms are also fairly simple, however I really like the foot additions on the shoulders. I think that's kind of cool to beef them up a little bit. The issues really stem from the torso, and torso almost single-handedly. See, the torso, it tries to do something different with a lot of add-ons. You have this chain, you have these claw pieces that are very reminiscent of something I tried to do with Gresh in the prototype stage from 2009. However, it was very difficult to figure out exactly how the instructions wanted you to do this, because the instructions are terrible. They're just not good instructions whatsoever. They're old, you only have scans for them now, and they're very vague and unclear and almost contradictory in a way when it comes to what they want you to do. Finalized photos of Jovan differ from how the instructions want you to make him, and so it's a chore to try and dissect all the hieroglyphics of what the instructions are trying to convey, the messages, the hidden meanings. It was a pain. It really dampened the building experience overall, because I was trying to figure out how to build it while trying to enjoy how to build it. And in the end, the torso just feels kind of bulky, very gappy. It doesn't feel very well connected at all. And I don't feel like the efforts to differentiate it from a normal Irnakk were worth the end result. It just feels rushed in a way. Something else I find kind of neat, but also not really that great, is on the back. Using two of the long rubber pieces for Zamor launchers, you can connect them to the base of the arms and connect them to the back of the torso. This is a really cool look. I like that. However, if you move the arms up too much, well, it's going to pop out, either of the back or the base of the arms. So, again, cool appearance, not a great execution. Finally, because of the torso, the head has a difficult time looking down. He has poor articulation if he's trying to look at the ground at all and look menacing. Like most of the promotional material is just cheating. It's just more CGI, cheats, and lies. One final thing to mention is, of course, his weapon. I actually think this is a really cool weapon. Nothing too offensive about it, though it is a little difficult because of how it's built to access the button to light up the harpoon. So that's a little disappointing, but it can be done. Overall, Jovan is an interesting silhouette. I think he looks better at a distance than he does in your hands. I don't necessarily recommend building him. You can if you want to get the experience and see what I'm talking about. And who knows, maybe I misbuilt it. Maybe I built it incorrectly because I just didn't understand the instructions. But as it stands now, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not particularly fond of this combo model, and I wouldn't recommend anyone try to build him. As far as canonicity is concerned, this model is canon. Alright, time to get into the big leagues. That's right, it's Titan time. Starting off with the best of friends, now mortal enemies. Let's remix! So here is a combo model I have helped build before, but have never gotten to truly experience while I can remember it. This is Botar, and he is really tall, like a lot taller than I was expecting. And this is a great example of something I was talking about a few videos ago, and possibly even last video. This is a combo model using two Titans that utilizes two Titans. By the end of this build, I practically had no more pieces left. There was very little left over once I built this guy, and I think that's a great thing. It utilizes the parts that it has to work with. So let's go ahead and get into it. Color scheme wise, I'm not thrilled. There are a lot of metallics, there's a lot of red and blue kind of mixing in. And honestly, the red and blue is fine. It's the metallics I'm not super thrilled about mixing. It doesn't look great to me, especially the way that it's all layered. Build-wise, let's start from the ground up. The legs. The legs are, I think, an interesting design. I'm not too appalled by them. I think that they work. They don't look super offensive. I'm a little perturbed by the open pins on the shins, but not a big deal. One thing I'm not a fan of are the feet. The feet work for stability. They are very functional feet, but that's about all they are. I think they're kind of ugly. I don't like how they're built. I don't like how they look. They're just very clobbery. Just not a big fan of it. But the legs, I like them. They're kind of holy and gappy, but they are very stable and look kind of robotic, so I dig them. Up in the torso's also fine. Nothing too wrong with it. I think it's got a very sleek, slender design. The armor placement, perfectly serviceable. And the build was perfectly fine. I enjoyed it. Again, I like those kind of offshoots on the side, kind of act like pistons. I like that look. Think it's kind of cool. Arms. Arms are alright. I'm not a big fan of the upper arms, and the lower arms are kind of basic. I like the hands. The hands are perfectly fine. The claws and with the opposable thumb. The blades, I've never liked how they turn inward. I do not like how that looks. I've always been a proponent for the blades facing outward, and I don't know why you would have them facing in. Like, is Botar just gonna give people a hug? Is that his thing? Hey, come here. Gotcha. The other thing I don't like is his weapon. It's awkward. It's cumbersome. You basically let Botar hold it, which, of note, this is one of very few Bionicle models, to my knowledge, possibly the only one, that has a weapon that you do not connect via an axle or a pin. He just actually holds it. Again, might be mistaken, but it's the only one that comes to my mind. Again, though, it's awkward. It's an awkward weapon. He holds it awkwardly. I don't like it. Finally, one of the most iconic aspects of Botar, his head. These huge golden jaws and cat ears? So it's interesting. The instructions have you pointing the ears forward, kind of acting like earmuffs or guards on the side of his face. And that's perfectly fine. You can kind of move them side to side. Not much, but you can. However, if you prop his head back, kind of cock it back a little bit, then the ears appear to go up. And then you can put them off to the side a little more. You can kind of arch them. Again, the articulation is restricted, but you can a smidge. And that's where he gets his really iconic look. The head design overall is perfectly fine. I think that it works for this character. It's weird, and it's a weird build, but I can't imagine this build with any other head. I think that it's very on model for this entire build, and I couldn't see it any other way. Overall, Botar is a great utilization of two Titan parts. That is a really good thing about him. However, there's a lot of awkwardness to him that I found. The blades facing inward, the upper arms, portions of the head, and definitely the feet. Mostly, I think this is a really good, solid Titan. There are just some issues I have, albeit minor issues, that kind of turn me away from it just a little bit. I wouldn't make this again. However, I would not dissuade you if you're interested in making this model. I think it's perfectly serviceable. I think you'd have a good time, especially given his height. It's a very stable build that has a lot of height to it, so I think you'd get a lot of enjoyment out of that. And of course, no surprise, he is canon. It's time. Let us look over the last of the alternate/combo model sets. We're taking these three Titans and Remix! That's right, everyone. It's Vezon and Kardas. So this guy is massive. This is a super tall figure, which is of course entirely because of Kardas. So let's go ahead and start off with not Kardas, but Vezon. So here we have Vezon from this set, and there are some slight changes between him and his debut with Vezon and Irnakk. I'll go ahead and compare the two, and there are a few things you can notice. The upper arms have been beefed up a bit on the new Vezon, which it's minor, but it's there. Additionally, he's a little taller because of the way he's designed in this, and on the spear, he obviously has no Irnakk piece, so it's just kind of a spear with a chain. The most noticeable difference, of course, would be that one arm is entirely dedicated to a shield. Weird. Not what I would expect. Also doesn't look that bad. I actually really like the shield design, and it being a part of his arm doesn't bother me at all. I think that's kind of a neat aspect. That being said, this Vezon is inherently not a improvement overall. The things I like from it are the beefed up upper arms. I think those I would put on old Vezon. However, I really don't like that wobble. That wobble is, it bothers me. So, honestly, I would just stick old Vezon with new upper arms, and I'd put him on Kardas. Interestingly enough, though, this set falls into a very semi-canon role because of new Vezon, in that this Vezon is non-canon. Alright, let's tackle the big one, Kardas. So a while back, I reviewed Kardas as part of the recap reviews, where I gave as much of an aggregate review as I could, meaning I didn't want too much of my opinion or my thoughts on this build to influence what I was talking about or what I was focusing on. So let's go over this again years later so I can give you what I actually think about this figure. Starting from the ground up, let's go with the legs. I love the leg design on this. I think the legs are really good. They're a great design. They look beefy. They look strong. They look super dragon-esque. And I think that the way they do friction really looks good on this figure. The feet, also a real big fan of them. I really like the articulated toes. My only wish would be that they could come up a little bit more, so that way you can kind of have the claw, the end of the claw, pointing down on the ground. Very minor though. Overall, I think these are really good designs, especially for something of this scale. Moving up to the torso, I also really like this torso. Like, it's a super solid design, and I like the way that the feet, the Hordika feet on the torso, are very well interwoven together. They make a very consistent kind of block there, and I think that's a good thing. I really like how solid that looks. I also really like this ribcage design. I think this looks really good. It's just very unique and very interesting. Like, there's a lot of visual intrigue for that ribcage that I really do enjoy. Moving down to the tail, this is actually where I want to talk about the color scheme a little bit, and bear with me here. The tail is fine from a build perspective. There's nothing special about it. It's just a tail with spikes. Like, it's nothing to write home about. It's serviceable. No real issue. What I like about it is how it plays into the color scheme and the distribution. Obviously enough, there are a lot of different colors here. And again, the red and the blue aren't really my concern. However, they've done a really good job at trying to mitigate the clashing colors, especially the clashing metallics, by centralizing a lot of the golds and the silvers. The silver, for the most part, is in the lower half of the creature. It's a lot in the legs, it's a lot in the hip area. However, the reds and the golds are almost consistently in the torso, the upper torso, the ribcage area, and the tail. And there are some in the wings. And then it goes into the neck and the head. This is more of a marketing thing, again, because it's story related, but story-wise, Kardas is constantly building energy all the time, and it has to just spew it out in a massive blast. To me, that really makes me enjoy how they did the color distribution on this, because it seems like all the energy is building up in his torso, and when he blasts it out, he's kind of stretching out and it's blasting out, but it's radiating throughout that straight line that's going to be his spine. I really like that. I like that coloration. I like that it kind of interplays with that. I think it's a cool thing, because the heat's not going to build up in his legs. So that, to me, is something I really enjoy. As far as the arms are concerned, they're arms. Nothing to write home about. Going to the back, we do have the wings. Now, the wing design, I think, is mixed. I like the wings because functionally, they're very impressive. They do a really good job of folding inwards. You can kind of get a shell on his back. It's a very different appearance, different silhouette for him. And then they can extend, and it's cool to see how it mechanically extends because of the build. However, they're very thin. They're very spindly. These are not dragon wings as I've come to expect them. And I think it's a testament to how far dragon wing design has come, especially looking at Ninjago. Ninjago dragons have a really good wings, most of the time. Kardas has serviceable wings, but they just don't feel like they're going to hold up this dragon. You're not really enjoying the wings for the thought of, he's flying through the sky. You like them because, hey, they move, and they're something visually interesting on the back of Kardas. Additionally, the way it looks, while it's functional, it's not a very pretty design. Like, it's not very clean. There are a lot of open axles and areas where it doesn't look very cohesive. But again, that's more of a minor thing. I'm glad that they function, but they're not one of my favorite aspects. Finally, moving on to the neck and the head. So it's interesting how they designed this neck, because I feel like they almost designed it with time in mind. So I talked a little bit about this last video when I went over the Vezon, in how I didn't think it was a good model, or at least for those that understood what I was trying to say and didn't completely have it go over their head. I was trying to say I didn't like the model because it was heavily afflicted by time, and if in 15 years the model could not stand up on its own, then it wasn't designed well from the start. This is interesting because this suffers a lot from time. The joint on the neck is a singular joint, so it doesn't do a great job over the last 14 or so years keeping the head up. You can do it, it's precarious, but it's not going to be an all-the-time deal. However, there's enough of a buffer on the neck and where it sits on kind of the upper torso to where it can still kind of be held up just by the pieces touching and where it all sits. I think that's a really good thing. As far as the neck design, it's also not one of my favorite aspects. I don't think it looks particularly good. It's kind of slap some pieces on, but again, it's more service than appearance, I suppose. As far as the head is concerned, I do have great issue with this. Not with the design as in its appearance, because it's really just Fenric's head with some minor differences, like it's got some more spikes. However, the build is different, and that alters how you place one of the pieces. And this is something I did touch upon in my recap review. The faceplate goes on in a way that forces it to stretch a bit. It is technically an illegal connection because it puts stress on the piece. I don't like that. Is it ever going to matter to me? No. However, I don't like how you basically have to do that, because when I built this, I was afraid I was building it wrong. Did I miss a step? Did I build it improperly? I had to ask some people I knew, hey, when you built this, did it go on easily? And they said, no, it didn't. So it's definitely not a misbuilt part of it. It is an issue. I don't like that. It's, again, more the principle of the matter than anything else. But I don't think it's a good thing. Illegal connections are not something I'm ever interested in seeing in any LEGO model, period. They're either putting pressure on the parts, which will weaken them over time, or they're fragile. And we're actually going to see a few different combo models next month that really go to show illegal connections create fragile models, and definitely ones that lessen my opinion of them. So overall, Kardas is a really mixed bag. He is an impressive looking figure, and there are a lot of design choices that I really like. The legs, I like the coloration and how that's distributed. I think that the wing function is really cool, however the wings themselves leave a lot to long for. And the head is just stressing a piece. It's not a good connection. So before I wrap all of this up, let me quickly do a few size comparisons. So I've taken a few different sets, and I've put them next to Kardas, because the reason I reviewed Kardas, who is a combination model, and to me not a set, during the recap reviews, is because he's generally been regarded as the largest Bionicle set released. And I guess now is a good enough a time as any to mention, is that he was released as a boxed figure, namely as set number 10204 Vezon and Kardas. The set released in 2006 contains approximately 670 pieces and retailed for about $50. Again, the only special item in this was the box and the instruction booklet. No other additional pieces were included. So I wanted to figure out, is he the tallest? So I took a few figures to kind of do some basic size comparisons with. I do have a measurement, a very rough measurement that I have on screen now. That is the Kardas height at the maximum height I could get him at. Let's start off with a casual Irnakk to really put into perspective the size difference between these two characters. Kardas is obviously huge. And now, a few figures which I thought might be fun to compare. First of all, start with Botar, who is another Titan combo model. Obviously enough, he does not compare size-wise. Next, Titan Matanui from 2009. I could have also used Takanuva from 2008, but the sets are close enough in size, with Matanui being taller, that I figured it was just not worth it to bring both of them down. And finally, Ultimate Duma. This is the one that I've seen put hotly in contention with Kardas. This guy is either going to be exactly the same size, or ever so slightly shorter or taller. So let's go ahead and do some measurements. Here's the height for Kardas I could get, and here is the height for Ultimate Duma. As you can see, just barely edges him out. Just barely taller. Now I want to put a disclaimer. This is not meant to be kind of a Mythbusters situation. Ha! You just got myth busted. Kardas, not the tallest Bionicle figure. Gotcha. It's not. There are a multitude of reasons why this might be inaccurate. So I encourage everyone to compare. If you have both of them, compare them on your own, do the measurements yourself, because I'm prone to error. So I'm not going to say this is definitive. However, these two are incredibly close in height. And I think it's very interesting to see the difference in their builds because of that. So overall, I like Kardas. I'm not crazy about Kardas. I don't think he's one of the greatest models that LEGO has ever made. I also don't think he's even one of the best combo models Lego's ever made. He is an impressive figure. And I think it's very interesting to look at him compared to Ultimate Duma, because I even said during the review of Ultimate Duma, he's kind of tall for the sake of being tall. Like, there's nothing about him that makes me go, wow, it's awesome they were able to utilize 3 titans in such a creative way to make him this massive character. No, it's a bunch of Technic beams and long blades that are stuck onto his shoulders. If you took those away, well, you still don't have Kardas' height. With Kardas, it's a very involved build and design that's so integral to the overall character. Like, you're not just slapping something on. As for Vezon and Kardas, I liked it. I definitely like it. However, it's also not a character, it's not a design, it's not a model that I will seek out building. Like, I have it now, but before this, I was never going to bother. It's just a large dragon that I think does some things really well and does some things I'm not going to appreciate in a few more years. It's a mixed bag. It's awkward because it's kind of deserving and undeserving of its reputation, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It just means it's a large dragon, and that's perfectly fine. All in all, I'd say I'm kind of lukewarm about it. I hope everyone kind of sees where I'm coming from here, but that's just what I think. So obviously enough, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. This model falls into a very weird semi-canon range. The Vezon included in this is non-canon, while Kardas himself is fully canon. Alright, one more combo. We have one more to go. Gosh dang it, I hate this. We're going to take these 2 system playsets and remix. I hated this. I really did not like building it. Like, the model itself is serviceable, like it's whatever, and I'll get into that in a sec, but making this was miserable. The instructions are not fantastic, and a lot of the building techniques in this were questionable, put politely. Starting from the back, you have this weird tail/platform thing, and honestly, I'm not even sure I built this right. I don't know if this is really how you're supposed to do it, because it just leans off to the ground, and other photos that I found of it, doesn't do that. It doesn't do that in the instructions, doesn't do that in a gallery I found on Brickshelf. I don't know what I did. I don't know how to repair it, because the instructions don't instruct you on how to make it not do this. So I'm assuming it's intentional. I don't know, but it hangs there. Additionally, these chains on this tail thing are stretched. They're really strained right now. I need to unclip these. Moving forward, the actual carapace of the Caravan Crawler is neat. It's a neat kind of angular design. I don't mind it. However, on the inside, which is entirely hollow, you do have a piece that sits on the ground that floats. It just floats. It's not connected to anything. It just sits there, and I don't know why. I don't know what you're supposed to do with it. The legs are legs, however, because you're having so much weight placed on these small connection points, the legs want to pop out. They do not want to sit there. They want to be free. Up top, you do have a Zamor launcher, and, well, it's a Zamor launcher. It's on this rotating piece, so you can turn it from side to side, and that's whatever. You have this guardrail, and that exists. And finally, the head. The head suffers from a lot of the same issues that one of the composite sets, namely the Piraka Outpost, suffers from. The Nuva limb that's used for the neck is not strong enough to hold this head up. You can. It is possible. But the head is also heavy, so if you move it around, bloop, it's gonna sag to the ground. And the head design is weird. It's just a bunch of blades, and the design itself reminds me of a Scareback's beetle. But the actual build, it almost feels fragile. Like, it isn't, but it feels fragile. I don't like it. I didn't like building it. Also, I guess these Gala Call shields are supposed to be the eyes? I'm not sure. It breathes fire, though, so that's neat. All in all, I did not like this. I didn't like building it. Building it was miserable. And the actual build was confusing. Like, it's fragile, but it isn't. Like, on the back, if you're not careful, pieces fall off. There's a piece inside that floats around. It wants to come apart. It's like this entire model is screaming, why am I here? Why am I constructed? I shouldn't be possible. What laws of physics have been broken to make my existence possible? I didn't like that I had to destroy 2 system sets, combine them together in this Frankenstein creature, and now I have to build them back again. Like, gosh dang, it's just exhausting. Didn't like the instructions, didn't like the building process, and I'm not fond of this model. I don't recommend you build it. Canon-wise, it is canon. It is technically a part of the story, though it never really appeared in it. Okay, that's everything. However, like last time, I do want to go over the Bionicle system alternate models. Not like the last one, which was a combo model, but the alternate models that I have no instructions for. I can't build them. However, I'd be remiss not to mention them. So let's start off here with the Piraka outpost. We take this and turn it into this. And it's like another outpost, but we've cannibalized the creature and turned it into this weird, almost torture device looking thing. I don't know what the blades are supposed to be. They're all in different positions, and I don't know. I don't like either of these structures. I don't think that this is an improvement over the original whatsoever. Moving on, we have the lava chamber gate. So we're going to take this and turn it into Tower of Toa. Classic. No, I'm kidding. But we do basically turn it into a giant tower, and it doesn't look good. Nothing about this to me looks appealing whatsoever. It's a giant tower with masks, and there's no real cohesive shape whatsoever. And then, of course, we have another structure, which isn't a structure, it's just a Zamra launcher on a platform. Yeah, I don't like this. Moving on to my favorite of the Bionicle system playset, the Piraka Stronghold. We're going to take it and turn it into worse Piraka Stronghold. This also doesn't look very good. There isn't any great shaping involved. It definitely doesn't have as much cohesion as the Piraka Stronghold does. It looks like maybe it could be an offshoot, like it could be an addition to the Piraka Stronghold, but certainly not its own fortified, stable structure. The creature looks kind of cool, though. I do like that. That looks neat. But the thing that Huki is on is awful. It looks terrible. Why would anyone want to build that? I don't like that at all. Overall, this is definitely a major downgrade, so not a fan. And finally, Race for the Mask of Life. We're going to take this structure and these two ships and turn it into a merry-go-round. This is a wind turbine? I'm not really sure. So you're getting two ships. You're getting one of them that's been shrunk. That's kind of neat. I like that design, though it does kind of remind me of like the 4+ sets from like Spider-Man and Batman, or Super Marvel and DC superheroes. You have the chibi minifigures in them. And then you have something that Jala's on that also kind of looks weird. Like, it looks like it's trying to be a steed, like a living Rahi, but it just looks spindly and skeletal. I don't get it. As for the main structure, this is actually kind of a cool structure. I think it looks neat. If that moves, that's kind of a neat function. It's unique, I'll say that about it. And it's definitely one of the better structures that these alternate models have provided. It's a unique look. It looks mostly stable for the most part. I don't know. Man, it has more cohesion than most of the others. So, I like it. I wouldn't say it's an upgrade, but it's different. That's everything. We did it. That was the big hurdle. Well, that's been 2006. As far as my thoughts, it's such a mixed year. It's such a weird year. Like, 2005 was just this onslaught of different things, throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing which strands stick and going with that. But 2006 was almost experimental. It's like, all right, we've got this new building system we really need to prove. So let's not really do that, but kind of show it off. Like, the Piraka combos, for the most part, in my opinion, are a wash. The Irnakk combo, it has a lot left to be desired. Titan combos are really cool. They're really good. Botar is neat. Kardas is really impressive. But they also have things about them that make me go, well, I'd like to seek something else. I'd like some other Titan combo that I can have as opposed to this. The real winners here would definitely, in my opinion, be the Voyatoran. I think those are really solid combos that I really enjoyed. And of course, I am so happy to be done with the misery that was that system combo. That was not fun to do at all. So overall, it's an interesting year. It's not one I'd say is immensely bad, but I also wouldn't lean toward immensely good either. I definitely think there are a lot more misses than hits, and it's disappointing, especially since from here on out we see a major downturn in the amount of combo and alternate models, with next year only featuring 3. But that does it. That has been the big hurdle. I'm done with the alternate and combo models for 2006, and I'm done with the system combo model, and I'm done with all the combo sets. They're in an interesting league, but I'm glad to be done with them once and for all. I am curious what you all think about them. Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? What are your rankings for those 4? I'd be interested to see those. That about does it. Phew, I'm going to take a few days of a break and then work on the 2007 Remixed review, coming next month, where we go over the 3 combo models for 2007, and also the system alternates, which I can't build. Thank you all so very much for watching, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell.